But I just clicked down here on the icon, and it gave a focus.
Interesting.
Huh. Well, whatever.
Well, welcome to our live stream for whatever today's date is. I've forgotten what week and month, and I know what year it is, but that's about all. So, leading up to Alpha, this is sort of the, I guess, first taste of what's truly going to be in Alpha. And we're just going to show what we have, talk through it, probably show you some bugs and other things we're working on and we want to get worked out before we actually launch Alpha. And you'll also get to meet Nathan Reynolds, or meet his beard maybe at some point. He's one of our contractors and is in here quite a few days a week, so you guys haven't met him before, I don't think, unless you've met him on the forums maybe.
So the big disclaimer is this is not a build we made to stream. This is literally like where we are at as of this morning working on stuff. So there is tons and tons of broken stuff.
Can you turn the music down just a tiny bit before we get going?
Yeah, lots and lots of broken stuff. This is the no shame build. This is the see behind the curtains. Is that better?
Let me listen in really quick.
That's like 15% drop.
Sounds good to me.
Grimeld? I can't read your name because it's in yellow. Let me know if the music sounds better now.
Yeah, and we have the music that's playing right now is actually the new track for Zone 1. It's like 6.5 minutes long. It's actually super long. So there's a lot of variation. So, but it is actually just one single track. But yeah, going back to this is a definitely development build. So as you can see, there's lots of fun stuff going on here. So, and we might turn that on later if we find some interesting bugs. But yeah, so this is the temporary jail, the jail that will be going out in this next build. I don't really think this is actually very close to final, but that's...
Yeah, in the end we'll have some large kind of wrought iron looking gates with the characters enclosed in them and that sort of thing.
Yeah, this is using much more generic objects and artwork at the moment than what it will end up being, I think, by the time all is said and done. So,
but for the time being, it's functional. You can choose the rogue or the sorcerer. Actually, I believe this is the first time that we have ever shown anything.
do you still have
of
the
sorcerer game.
zoom functionality built in?
Yeah. So there's the close up of the sorcerer. He's a dandy fellow.
With the cowl.
And yeah, so I guess I'll go ahead and select him to start with, just because he hasn't been seen before. So I'll play through as both characters a little bit, because hopefully it comes across how much differently they control. Actually, I'm really terrible as the sorcerer, as you probably gathered.
Well, you are bad.
Yeah, I haven't quite figured it out yet, but I'm getting there. So right away, we actually noticed our first glitch. If you come up here, this would be a sorting issue. That's pretty awesome, right?
It's a magic pillar.
Yeah, there's actually
It's a glitch in the Matrix.
one of the things that we've added since pre-alpha. I assume most of you guys have played the pre-alpha demo, which was just a press demo, the PAX East demo. But all of the rooms are rectangular, concave rectangular.
In that
So
mode.
so we wanted to add support for more interesting rooms, because a lot of like the level design that these guys have cooked up, puzzle ideas require like more interesting rooms. So we have support for concave rooms and non-rectilinear rooms. This, I believe, still uses all axes walls, but anyways, the gist of it is that makes sorting a whole lot more complicated. So while the core of it all works, still have to deal with some issues between sorting in 3D space and 2D space and making it all look nice and fine. What
No,
happened?
we're still okay? I don't know. Glitch in the Matrix again.
Glitch in the Matrix. So this is our placeholder jail.
Can you kill
Back
Twitch
down.
on your machine just in case it's causing...
It's not on my machine.
Oh, you did kill it.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fine.
yeah, it's done. So actually, no, I never did that. Okay. So yeah, come over here. More fun sorting issues. Beautiful. I think there's actually, this is the same drop that we have in the PAX East build. But I believe that the main drop here is going to be a lot bigger eventually. Or
Yeah,
something.
eventually there's going to be a special room with a unique tile set that all of the drop rooms will share. So yeah, that's kind of temporary, but that's what it'll look like in endless drop mode, more than likely, in the final version of that as well.
Oh, look at that beautiful story. Yeah, and there's still a lot of, for the projectile-based weapons, there's still a lot of animation timing issues. So if we look carefully
Yeah,
at
it
Mr.
launches while
Sorcerer,
you're swinging instead of like when the wand extends. So we probably need to just trigger the projectile when that animation ends rather than when the animation starts. But
it's actually set up to like be fed a time in between the start and the end, but I didn't know what they were, so I just guessed.
But one thing we haven't even really talked about, we talked about it a little bit on the stream with Northern Lion, the green light stream, but we now have several kind of states for attacks that we can discuss. So you can actually hold the attack button while you're holding any weapon to kind of draw the weapon back and hold it in a charge state, and you lock into that facing direction, so you can, it's sort of a form of strafing. And for your primary weapon, you'll actually be able to charge it up and perform a more kind of like special attack with that weapon type. But it also allows you to be like a little more tactical with your positioning. Of course, you do have to move a little slower when you're in that strafing mode.
One of the other things that's been sort of emergent gameplay a little bit is that the sorcerer right now is super skatey, which is kind of the intent. We may need to tone that down based on feedback and that sort of thing, but especially compared to the rogue, not very nimble at all. But because we have this this charge up capability where you can sort of hold it down, that actually affects some of your physical properties, so that when you go to hold down, you are using a strafe speed property, which actually lowers your speed, so you can actually kind of get going at a good pace and then hold down and kind of stop on a dime, whereas otherwise, if you were to try and move back, you would get this kind of
So it's
elastic effect. But instead, I can kind of stop on a dime when I hold down the attack because it negates my speed. So there's a lot of nuance there already, just with a couple properties kind of in play with attacking. So
The attack plus break button.
right.
The other thing is, if you notice up top, the sorcerer has the same amount of shields by default as the rogue, but 2 less hearts, which I think will make it even more interesting to play them. Difficult, actually. I think for this first build, getting far with the sorcerer is going to be not easy. Not for the fatal card, I guess. Of course, there's some people in the forums who just rock the PAX East build, so
Yeah,
maybe not for the fatal card.
basically, like, all of that stuff will have to be balanced for, like, how much damage is he dishing out. 'Cause, I mean, being ranged, like, he's going to be a little more natively powerful offensively in some ways, because you can just, like, throw fireballs at the enemy from across the room. So, hopefully that balances out him having a bit less health or shields or whatever we, end up landing on in the
I
final
would
version.
really be surprised if anyone can see anything.
Oh yeah, pretty dark.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, before I went to drop, I just wanted to make another disclaimer. I actually have no idea what rooms are below here right now. The randomization is way too unstable at the moment, so I just put in some random room, grab a random room and see what happens. So I have no idea if these rooms are good, if they work, if they crash, but there's only one way to find out. It doesn't crash. Little goblins. Oh, these are heavy.
Yes.
Oh, that guy's fast back there. Oh, they don't explode.
Well, they kind of. Well, yeah. That's one of several emitters that isn't.
Ow. That was fast.
Oh, well, and there's some tile issues in this because it's using the old tile set.
That one.
Yes.
Oh, lordy. We'll go by lives. Wow, this. Maybe I picked a bad list of rooms to grab from.
We picked the endless drop rooms that are now.
Defunct.
Yes.
Oh.
So do all the enemies do
Brutal.
700 damage?
I don't know. I haven't checked recently.
It's going to be very difficult.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool because I thought there was one room here for sure. Oh, so add room selection.
What did you?
I don't know.
Oh, I know what it is. There are little what am I trying to say? Spikes and stuff in here that are probably not showing up because Yar.
No, I think the reclusion would show up though.
Don't know.
You're being in kamikaze right now.
Yeah.
You know you have a projectile attack, right? So you don't have to actually
This is
hit
pretty
them with
close
your
corners though. I think it broke. Yeah, it broke some things this weekend. Oops.
Yeah, we really need to knock those enemies back like crazy when they get hit with the projectile so you can do a little more crowd control.
See, I broke the animation system though. You see how that looks okay, but that, I guess that one's okay too. The one before it though was not correct.
I see that it leaves the previous particles for the projectiles death collision spot.
Yeah, until they're they're in a pool. So if you need a new one, it will try to grab an old one from the pool.
Gotcha.
Like I can actually demonstrate that concept here. See, it dies, and then that same one got reused.
Right.
Like if fire off 2, it would be different, but not gonna be fast enough. Well, since I picked a bunch of broken rooms to load, how about we go look at the road, which has changed a bit since the last time we showed it to you. And yeah, I have to reboot the game and change characters because I didn't put a way to go back to the jail. Not very smart.
Someone was just asking if we would be able to zoom out in the final game, like manually, and I was thinking probably not, but we could leave it in as some kind of
I know we talked about at one point in time leaving it in as an accessibility thing,
Yeah.
at the very least, for like.
I mean, since we supported having like a default zoom level that you could set,
Mhm.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But like being able to do it,
Nilly-willy.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could see it actually impacting gameplay in a way, but I don't know.
So last time we showed the road was actually on that Moonlight Super Show, and that was a small taste just to show some of the new stuff. Then the animations were actually quite a bit jerkier. Some of the attack animation stuff, a lot of that's been refined. Looks a lot better now. Sorcerer's just hanging out over there. And there's a mysterious door. Don't know where that goes yet. I mean, technically we know where it goes, right? But no one else
Should
does.
stop doing that so that you can actually see your character.
Another one of the things that we did recently was mucking. Oh, the sublayer's off. Yeah, I'll fix that in a second. Mucking with the animation speed. So basically, depending on how fast you're moving, it actually affects the animation speed. Trying to get a bit of walk versus run differential. I think it's more noticeable in the Sorcerer actually, just looking at it here in the road, because the Sorcerer is kind of more bouncy in general.
It could be, how big do you think the game is going to be on release? Like the iOS version? I mean, I guess it'd be about the same for both unless we don't ship all the textures, but I don't
File
know.
size?
Yeah, how big is it right now?
Well, that's actually very interesting. So the PAX East demo was almost 100 megs, fairly gigantic. But the current build, as it is right now, I will actually just
I know it's been shrinking because of
Yeah.
texture packers, so it could actually be way less than I was guessing.
Oh, sorry, I killed
No, it's
you.
okay.
I'll just go back. I believe it's right now the current build is around 35 megs. So
actually really good.
yeah, there's a lot of savings in Texture Packer, but also we switched all the music over to OGG versus Wave, which is a huge savings. So I don't know. I would say probably, 35 per zone, because we have almost all the objects that we have for zone 1 done, right?
Yeah, so like probably 300 megs-ish?
Yeah, I would say 3 to 500 megs, probably.
The mask on these is a lot heavier.
Yeah, hard to move. The gold or the steel ones are hard too.
Cranked up the speed on those guys too, huh? Or is that their charge?
I mucked with them on Saturday night when I was really tired, but I think I broke some stuff.
Oh hey, there's that bug.
Oh yeah. Actually, hold on a second.
It's like the Wizard of Oz, pulling the curtain back and showing that he's just talking through the megaphone or whatever.
So this is basically how we see the game on a daily basis. Usually we curate everything before we put it out to the public. So like the PAX East demo had several weeks of like polish time spent on it or whatever. Most of the videos we take are from similar type builds, but this is what the game looks like day in, day out. Break things, fix things, add things.
It looks
break
like
more
this
things.
or worse.
Yeah, right now actually everything is turned on, so it looks okay.
That's the blast area. The circle.
So if we zoom out here to like stellar constellation level, this is a universe view of Delphi's Drive. No, actually that's really interesting. All the yellow dots. I actually don't know what those yellow dots way out in the middle of nowhere are. I know that
they're spread. They'd have to be particles.
Yeah, particles. They don't have any collision with the walls. But man, those would go way out there. I guess that could be it.
Kitty loves Roblox is in the game or in the chat.
So Kobe, you call the engine fragile right now, don't you?
Yeah. The someday if I ever get around to finishing it and release it, it would be called fragile.
If we release it, I think we should. Hopefully, it is non-fragile at that point.
But then it's just ironic.
You can call it like something more.
I think it's the perfect
more
name.
robust.
See those yellow things?
Yeah, those are particles.
Oh, those are the actual particles?
Well, you're drawing what the yellow dot is the central camera point, or the camera registration point, or origin, or whatever the heck it is.
Yeah, I thought I had that turned off. I'm stupid. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's
for a
where each
second
of
I
the
thought there was
particles coming
like
out of the.
one by one particle textures, and I was going to cry a little bit. I want to open up Tile and talk about some randomization stuff with some of the actual good rooms.
Sure.
It says project name, which says that's right.
Yeah.
Fit, something like that. I guess that's pretty good.
So someone was just asking about of the alpha, and I guess to clarify that we since we released the PAX East kind of pre-alpha demo that we had, the one that was stable from a few months ago, we never made a Mac version of that because the engine at that time didn't support Mac, but you were adding.
Actually, I think
Mac
I just
support,
never
right?
made a build for it.
Okay. Damn you, Kobe.
Yeah.
I could have had a build on my laptop.
Yeah, it takes so much time though.
But anyway, when we released this version that we're showing now as the kind of true alpha, there will be a Mac version that's available on, maybe not on day one, but very soon thereafter. There will be a build on the Humble store.
Can you go and turn
turn that off?
Yeah, that's really nasty.
Let's pick a more complex one. Alright. That one's pretty complex, yeah. Well, that one has a lot of stuff in it. Yeah, that's beautiful. Is that, yeah, you can see that on, wow. That's a little bit better. So, yeah, actually, there's some of the news on one objects, but so the randomization system that we have going on, which has been like a big focus of effort from basically everybody, art, design, scripting, programming, it effectively functions on two different levels. There's the inter-room randomization, and then there's the inter-dungeon, I guess, randomization.
Inter-level.
Inter-level randomization. So effectively,
although I guess technically it would be intra-level.
Intra-level, yeah, correct. So yeah, so a lot of people, when we first mentioned that we were actually making tiled or using tile to make the rooms, we're like, well, how do you make rooms that are random? And effectively, the kind of solution we came up with is exposed here within. I will let Burrell talk about it because he knows way more about it than I do.
Or the mouse. And this is not actually quite as far as the capabilities that we'll end up having at some point in time. Like one of the things that we're lacking right now is the ability to link layered groups together, which is kind of a limiting factor. At this point, more for visual reasons than anything else, but that's something we need to do at one point in time. But so essentially, we have the ability to go in and make fixed elements within a room, and then make randomized, all in different layers. I don't know if anyone out there is familiar with tiled and how it works, but it's basically just a simple layer-based program where you can either paint purely visual tiles or you can put objects in. So the way that we have this set up, I'll expand this over here just a wee bit. Move this up. So this is our over here. This is our tile sheet, and this is the visual elements for any given room. So basically, everything that is not everything on here like so. And that's how I go through and I paint the tiles on the floor. And part of the other thing that we can do with that is that we can have randomized layers. So I will turn off the floor just slightly. So these are some engravings that we have in the room right now, but they are randomized, so we can actually pull from. I think I have 3 in this room. Let me move this back down again. So this is one random option that can be shown. This is the second one, and then that is the third. So basically, we have 3 possible floor decoration combinations just from this one room at the moment. And then we can do the same thing with the individual layers that have objects on them. So I have all these other different tabs over here that have different sheets of objects. You can see here some of the new objects that are going to go into the first jail level. We've got these big stones and chairs, and tables, and other things that'll be fun to break apart. We also have, this is the enemy sheet, where I can just use these as a placeholder, and then I can go out and I can just stamp them wherever I need on the screen. And then what really lets us get into the ability to make a lot of different variants within kind of a single file is to go in and say, so here we have, this is one permutation of this room that can show up, but on top of that, any individual one of these can have, oops, wrong window, there she is, a property of random, I mean there's various other things, but this is the most basic one. So anytime that this room is spawned, and remember that this particular layout is one of a variety of layouts in this room that can be spawned. So you have at least 3 different layers of randomization every time a room is created. You have, does the room even show up in the level that you're on? If it does show up, what permutation of the floor layout shows up? And then once it has selected that, inside of that, each object that has a random property then has a percentage that we set for a chance for it to show up. So anytime you load this room, you may get any combination of any number of these different large and small stones that are in here that show up. So, as far as like the objective of this particular layout is always going to be the same, but it adds a little bit of variety as to like where the object's at in the room, that sort of deal. And we can expand on that to do a lot of other interesting things. So, here's another one where you have to find where the switch is. It's underneath one of the object areas, and these are just relatively simple kind of puzzle permutations. And then here's one where, depending on which switch you hit, there is a right switch and then 3 wrong switches that will spawn enemies. So that's kind of some of the stuff that we have set up right here, just as a kind of a quick peek into some things. So yeah, that's where rooms are at right now.
So that's the inter-room part of it, and then Rob briefly touched on the other part, which is whenever the level gets generated, basically Burrell sets up this list of rooms that have some metadata attached to them, like the type of room it is, and we have like 12 types of rooms, I think, as well as like required rooms for any given level.
And then percent, and what the composition.
And what the composition is, like percent combat versus percent treasure versus percent puzzle versus the percent to get a unique room.
There's also the spawnable item tier and some of that other data.
Correct.
That's less standardized at the moment, but.
And then so basically, I go through that list of rooms, and as you notice in this visual, actually, you can see the red boxes. I think you can see that on Twitch.
Yeah, in the directions.
Yeah, on the
Doom
perimeters.
Speaker was actually asking about the.
Those are door placements. So any given room can have doors basically at any place on any wall.
And those adhere to the random properties too. So when I set up a room, I can say it will always have a door in a particular direction. Most of these are all set up to where it can randomly spawn in either one or all 4 or however.
Correct. Yeah. So some rooms may have a door that has to be spawned. So when we're generating a level, I have to honor that and basically generate that door. All the other doors, I'll choose through the algorithm which ones need to be present to actually get the linkage correct in the dungeon. So basically you get the entire spatial layout or whatever. These rooms can be arbitrarily placed. So it gives these guys a lot of flexibilities. They can make interesting room shapes, sizes, put doors wherever they fancy. And then someday when the randomization system doesn't crash all the time, it will actually work and be pretty cool. And that's effectively like those 2 different systems are sort of how all the randomization has come together. Drop a table on the slimes.
Yeah, drop a train on them, Victor. And this is just because you had been talking about like wall generation and stuff before. This is another option of here's a square or a cross room that I can set up. There's another. Let's do this. We have L-shaped stuff that we can do, and then larger. And then you've even got angles working, so we could actually do octagonal rooms or things of that nature.
Correct. And if you're really masochistic, somewhat roundish rooms by using lots of small segments, but I can only imagine the pain that I would have to go through to get that to sort correctly.
Well, and the pain that I would have to go through to add angular like wall borders to the tile set, since I didn't account for those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And all their myriad junctures and joints.
There was a question about a level editor post-release. I mean,
All
as
you
far
need-
as
all
like
you need is tile,
I was
really.
gonna say, really, as far as like a package thing, probably not. We've had people ask about Steam Workshop, which requires us to be on Steam, but barring that,
The vote.
yeah.
All of you probably have, but
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those things where we don't really know much about Workshop until we kind of get through the front gate.
Yeah.
But as far as like, I mean, you can take all the elements that are here now and edit stuff in Tile, and then you just have to edit the XML file that sort of adds the rooms to the possible pool of
Correct.
things that can be
Yeah.
generated.
And I know actually, I think, is Doom Speaker on Twitch right now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Doom Speaker actually, besides just like totally crushing all-time record of rooms in endless drop mode, which was ridiculous, made a small mod anyway for that PAX East mode. So even from like this moment, like everything right now is pretty accessible. That will change down the road because there's actually a formal mod system that I'm going to implement.
So
Which
the
will
people
say,
can't break the game and like beat it.
yeah, there are a lot of
through
reasons.
cheats.
There's
well,
a ton of reasons.
I mean, really, if for no other reason than just we don't want people to corrupt their true version,
Correct.
accidentally. I mean, I guess I could always reinstall it or something.
That sort of thing is going to come down way closer to release, maybe even some of it after release.
Yeah.
But I mean, in the meantime, for anyone who's feeling particularly froggy, you can make a copy of your game and jack with anything you want. I don't recommend it right now because there's not a lot of safety checks in the game for certain things. So you can definitely crash the game by making some modifications.
Yeah,
I'm
so
pretty sure.
now is the time to play.
I'm
pretty sure Doomspeaker probably had a few crashes because I know some of the stuff he's working with. I'm not really.
Well,
safe
I'm
regarding.
pretty sure like since the databases of stuff are pretty fluid at the moment, there's fields in there that are listed that aren't used that probably don't work or don't work the way they're supposed to work. Like when you added
You don't want them to work.
well, Kobe added in being able to define the playback speed of the spine animations and stuff the other day, which is fine. And I think I had some errant data in there for the
Oh, the
for
torches. Yeah.
Well, because I thought that we talked about doing it in like defining the frames per second as opposed to, but then you made it a percentage modifier.
Okay.
So I had put in 12 frames per second, which meant 12 times as fast, and so the lights were on like speed,
Yeah, it's pretty tricky.
So, yep.
So I'm sure like everybody wants to know, when is the next build coming out? And since we've missed the date twice, I refuse to commit to a hard date. I know that sucks, but I can't endure the mental anguish and not sleeping that it requires. But I mean, the core thing is there's really one big thing that has to absolutely get fixed, which is the randomization. It has to work, has to be stable. That is 100% has to happen. And then beyond that, there are a couple of really annoying, I would classify like serious bugs. Like the sorting bug to me is serious. It doesn't affect gameplay, but it looks terrible. And especially since we want people to stream the game or whatever, like it's really hard to let the game go out, to let a build go out that has huge visual defects like that. And then there's lots of small stuff that's broken. Obviously, we're not going to ship those broken rooms that we were playing earlier. But even in general, there's still a lot of small stuff that has to get fixed. So no hard date. ASAP is what we're working towards.
Could just go the Blizzard route and say, when it's finished.
Yeah, and here's the extra thing. So we actually have more pressure on us now since we released the PAX East demo. Because we worked on the PAX East demo for a long time. I mean, it was in our spare time a lot. But really, we had the PAX East demo done right around before the end of Kickstarter because
It was in the middle.
yeah,
so.
we sent to Northern Miami like in the middle. But then from that point until PAX, which was basically 3 weeks, we just polished that demo. Because when you take something to an exhibition, you want it to look nice, you want people to like it or whatever. So that build has a lot of kind of refinement and polish in it, which raises the bar for us on all future builds. Which is kind of unfortunate in a way, but not really that big of a deal. I mean, since we want people to be able to stream and take video clips unrestricted, we wanted to make everything look really nice anyway. So a little extra pressure, but
Well, and I think maybe this is a good opportunity to kind of explain a few of the reasons why, like, we went from basically having the PAX East build to like having to sort of redo a bunch of stuff, and now like most of the stuff I guess that was in the PAX East demos works now, but it took a while to
Well,
get
Kobe
back
had
to
said
that.
it. I forget what phrasing he used, but it was something like, what went to East looked nice, but it was held together by like mirrors and chewing gum
And duct tape,
and
yeah.
duct tape.
yeah,
whatever.
it's pretty crude. I mean, it's pretty obvious though because
Well,
you just
and it's not like any particular part of that was bad or wrong, but it wasn't
scalable.
scalable. Yeah.
Yeah, so the example I always give, which maybe we talked about in the past, but the Rogue had 2 animation states that I animated in Flash and just exported a ping sequence. So, he had or he or she, whichever, had 100 frames or so of animation. Do you even remember? Because Kobe
It basically
Kobe
took up
input all
one.
that by hand, and now we're using Texture Packer, so you had to rewrite stuff for Texture Packer, and yeah, it took up an entire texture sheet. Now it's like, boop, one little, 1/10 of a texture sheet.
Well, yeah,
because we
we-
just store the pieces like arms and hats and.
I don't remember how many.
Nice.
I mean, we didn't really have all the textures, compacted before, but we had. I don't know. I think we were using probably the equivalent of 3 sheets before, and we're using, I think, 4 now with everything total, and with plenty of room to spare for lights and UI and
Oh, we were
all of-
using a ton of sheets before.
yeah, all of the all of the objects and the character data and the bits and pieces and all that stuff fits in one sheet with room to spare now. So
And it used to be like one for a character, one for 3 enemies
Particles.
maybe. Yeah.
Debris, objects,
So yeah, the game is going to be way more efficient and actually possible to make. So both like downloading it is not going to be 10 gigs, and then also
Well,
just like
because
loading up textures to run the game.
well, and because of the way that it works, it has to access textures periodically. So having the ability to have as few of those as possible means that it'll be a pretty substantial performance gain. So
especially on really shitty GPUs.
Well, and we wouldn't have been able to do weapon swapping unless you wanted to export one of those texture sheets for every single weapon for the rogue, or somehow do a weird overlay. But right now, it's just like, we can on the fly just like swap out the weapon texture that's in the rogue or any given character's hand, and they're all sharing arms, so their swing animation for a sword is going to be the same, and so a lot of very nice stuff that was really necessary for the game we wanted to make, but it's just taken a long time to kind of rewrite and re-implement.
Painful. Yeah, I would actually say that we totally redid the tool pipeline. There was basically nothing left over, so that was basically 100% redone. And even in the game, we probably refactored, I would say, like at least half of the original functionality, improving small things, like even the physics. Like we never had like complete control over the character movement that we wanted. Like Burrell and I would hunker over his computer, and we couldn't get the rogue to be exactly how we wanted it to be because there were so many different factors and there were some bugs. So we actually rewrote the player control mechanics and all that stuff. So it's a lot more editable, testable, easier in general, I think.
I'm loading this back up because it looked like the chat room sort of stopped on my computer, so I don't know if no one had questions or if it just froze up.
Last night when I was working, I had the Evo Championships open on one screen, and Twitch crashed like 30 times in the span of 2 hours. I eventually just closed it.
that's actually a pretty good
Yeah.
question on, and you can actually speak to this better than I can to a degree. Sorry, Slayer. Will dungeons be generated randomly, or have you prepared grids with number of rooms and their shapes are arranged by? Because you've actually got stubbed in like the layout structure and some things like that.
Yeah. So there's no like predefined grid. Basically, what happens is I have this list of rooms that could possibly be generated for any given level in any given zone, and I have a minimum and a maximum number of those rooms that I want to create, and that's all metadata that Burrell feeds us. And then there are a couple of requirements. You're required to have a drop room, which is to get you down into the floor.
Would you mind playing the room while we keep talking?
You're required.
Oh yeah.
You're
Yeah, so
required
we're
to
just sitting here with tiled.
Yeah.
required to have a room that opens the drop. You can have required mini boss or boss rooms or required special rooms. So all of those automatically get added into the list, and then whatever number of rooms we lack, sorry,
That's fine.
are filled in with the other list. And so basically, what I do at first is I go through all of the room files and figure out where all their doors are located at. That's the first piece to spatially putting it together. If it would probably be easier to just do it on a straight grid and make these guys design rooms where doors always have to be X pixels or X tiles apart on any given wall size or whatever. But I think that restricts us in a lot of ways, so I didn't really want to do that. So it's actually totally fluid spatially. What was the other question? Because I feel like I want to answer half of it.
It was, kind of like, because you have right now everything is architectural, but you would also have some other ideas for.
Oh, right. So the random generation itself, there's only one algorithm in right now, and I call it architectural, which is basically, it sort of defines kind of the density as well as like the general connectivity of how the rooms get laid out. It will eventually also affect like hallway size, but I want to implement at least 2 to 3 different algorithms. Oh, look at the door; it's sorting bad now.
Yeah, it's because they zoomed in.
Really?
Yarp. I thought.
Huh.
Oh, I don't know. You broke it somehow. It's your mind powers.
It's a very small door for mice.
Yes.
Oh, you were in the wrong build, that's why.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna kill you.
Fine.
Not you, the build. Sorry, I didn't commit that one earlier.
Oh.
That, I mean, that, because what I added all those random rooms to see if they would actually work. So, yeah, you can take over. But what I would also like to do, apart from, so architectural is sort of like what you would imagine in terms of like building a house or something, right? You have finite space, probably rectilinear, and so you want to fit more or less rectilinear rooms inside of it as densely as you can. But I also want to have something like organic, or maybe call it like cave type is a better way, which might be like a cluster of some rooms or one big room, and then long, narrow, possibly lots of hallways that lead off into the other rooms. So really, yeah, I don't know how many of those different algorithms we're going to use. Sort of it depends on design. I mean, we have all the different zones locked down, so we could probably go ahead and figure that out. But I haven't put a whole lot of thought into it. Speaking of zones, you want to give away some spoilerific information? Talk about Zone 2?
Maybe next cast. Well, I mean, Zone 2, yeah, whatever. I mean, do you want to?
I don't know that much about it. I didn't design anything in it.
Let's get Zone 1 done first, you know, and well, I mean, I don't know that we ever really said Zone 1 is, you start out in the jail, but it is not completely a jail.
Right.
For it's what its intended purpose was at the time it was constructed. So, I actually think it's a pretty good intro to the rest of the kind of, visual narrative that occurs as you go, throughout the game.
Give some idea about that room. Like, it's kind of hard to see-ish.
Doomspeaker said Zone 2, modern military shooter.
Yes. We found out on the forums that Doomspeaker has some sort of blood vendetta against Call of Duty
players.
So,
I've never played it.
I'm
Call of
gonna
Duty ever.
Oh, I hate Call of Duty. I
I've
hate
never
it so
played it.
much for what it is. Like the maps are awful for multiplayer, and it's totally you have to be on meth to play because you have to have like some sort of hopped up reflexes and yeah. I vastly prefer Battlefield, and thus let the flame war commence.
I've never played either of those games.
Yeah. So I'm really anxious to get some of the other classes in, so that we can kind of change their movement behaviors a bit more. Because there's already a pretty sizable.
Go back to the left a little bit.
To the left.
Yeah.
So, keep that on. So or actually, zoom back into full. So the green boxes are collision lines, and if they return purple, that means collision is still there but off. Inactive. But the kind of white box that's on here, if you can see it, this is something that's inherent to the engine, and that's actually the minimum cropped size for a particular resolution. So what is this running in HD or SD right now?
This is 144900, so this is SD.
Okay, so this is SD size, but basically what it means is that, and I forget what's the lowest size that because we adjusted
I don't remember off my head. It's something like
right, but the white kind of landscape box that's on here right now, that is the smallest visual area that the game would ever
have
be.
before it starts to scale.
Right.
So you would never see less information than you're seeing right now. And obviously the HUD rescales and positions itself to be within
Right.
the box.
Which has actually been kind of tricky because that's not really that big of a space, and so we did a little bit of I had a lull on some of the stuff that I was working on, so I went through and kind of started to retinker with the UI because there's some things that need to change to accommodate some of the inventory stuff that we're going to be adding in future builds, and to fit all of the stuff on there, there's actually not just a whole lot of space when it's down to the minimum size, so it presents some interesting visual problems to deal with. So I'm interested to see what people think about the sorcerer when they play it, because I went in and changed his bounciness a bit, or his drag, so that he stops a little quicker.
Yeah, I noticed he seemed to stop a little bit quicker. He still bounces off things.
He
like
is
a
very,
ball.
very pinballish.
Yeah, I think He seems to stop a little too quick, but that might be necessary just to make the game playable.
And it's a little too quick for what I ideally would like, but it's just, particularly when you get into the rooms of the size that we're dealing with, cornering is very, very tricky. You know, like being able to get around this is pretty squirrely. So, whee, and then hit the wall and what have you. So yeah, we may need to tune him down even a little bit more, or he just may be the hard mode. I don't know. Just,
Yeah.
but yeah, you move actually a lot better if you've got. So, need to get the lights on the projectiles and the projectile animation actually working. That'll be good. So.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever showed a build that's broken ever before, so consider yourselves either lucky or unlucky. I don't know which.
Can we go ahead and jump down the drop and see what's down there?
Junk rooms. I don't know if you
sure
want to go
about
down
that?
there.
I mean,
We went down there a while ago.
Someone was just asking what kind of game it was, so I figured
Oh,
that
gotcha.
might be a better example.
well,
for
it
that
is
starting.
It's a
no
broken
enemies.
game right now.
Yeah, actually, I didn't think about that. But, wow, did those fireballs destroy the stone?
Yeah, well, they can. I mean, the
Oh.
stone's destructible.
Yeah.
Well, because we have
it
two
is
different
now,
types of
right,
stones.
I remember now. Yeah, I remember. Cut stone.
Yeah, the marbly ones.
Yeah, I didn't think about it, but this is kind of a bad showing for anybody who's never seen the game or doesn't know the state of it or what's going on.
Yeah,
They'd be like, why are all these neon shapes all over the place?
Yeah, the game is still pre-alpha, more or less.
Curious. They don't go over the chains, though.
I don't know what the height's set at. I'm up
It's
from-
set at wrong, probably. Would be my guess. So,
Here's another interesting problem with randomization. So it's tricky in general, just dealing with all the spatial stuff of it. But the other thing is, I really wanted to have the ability to have a seed and have the ability for the player to get the seed for whatever run they're doing, and have them be able to share it with someone, and that person being able to use that seed so they can have identical runs if they wanted to.
For QA purposes, or
Well, for QA and also for fun. Like
Yeah.
if I have a really hard layout and I'm like, hey dude, you gotta check this out, see how brutal this is. And my first go at it was actually really bad because I didn't realize that I actually needed to pre-generate the random items for any given level up front. Otherwise, depending on the order of levels you go through, if there are any random events in those levels, it will actually affect the order of random numbers coming out and change the items that you get.
do you know what springs work now?
good time to find out.
Yeah. Sorry.
I didn't think springs were in Zone 1.
Nope, they're in. So, anyway, continue. Sorry.
And the rats are backwards. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So actually, that was another thing that I found out as we went. Maybe you call that like an experience, but basically, whenever I generate the rooms and the layout and all that stuff, I actually need to generate all of the random stuff that can be determined for that level up front. Otherwise, how you play the game will actually affect certain things, and you couldn't have a single seed spawn 100% reproducible runs. So that's
Unless you did something where, like, by the time that you're, like, you have to, I don't know. Yeah, I get what you're saying. It is kind of an interesting problem.
Yeah, I never thought about it. So
Unless you only spawn the seed at the end of a run, and then however far someone got, which is kind of a weird deal. But
Something that someone brought up that's kind of interesting is the possibility of using those seeds to get really powerful items. I mean, I assume that would be possible, right? Someone's like, "Oh, I found the miraculous, glorious sword of truth," and
as it is right
I
now,
can
that
liberate
is
those.
totally possible.
So
So yeah, I don't know if that's good or bad, honestly. The thing is, you'd still have to play it. You'd still have to start a new game and play it through to that point. And
or you have to start a new game.
Yes.
Oh, so it's I thought you meant like a seed every time you generate the level. It's
No, basically, like whenever I start a new game, I will get a seed, and I can give that seed to you at any time. But you would have to start a
it
new
was
game.
a level by or like level generation by level generation.
Negative. I actually generate the seeds for all the different levels when I generate the first one. So I usually generate the other ones. So they're all known up front. So you only have to pass one seed around to actually get 100% reproducible universe. Which I'm sure there's probably something that I failed to account for. Yeah, it kind of has like a steampunky industrial, like with those spiky things all over the place, like just jutting out. It's
yeah,
just-
I'm actually kind of surprised that since it's using the wrong tile sheet, that it's not more horrendously broken.
Yeah, the bulk kind of areas, the ones you use the most, are in the same place and same orientation. So, I'm not sure what those kind of corner pieces of the concrete looking pad, like how those are getting pulled in. I'm not sure what you would have had from that area of the tile map.
If you die, you should pick a new room. I thought you were going to have to restart, but yeah.
Yep. Hey, look, the spring is working. Yeah, getting the AI added back in will be a big help too. Nathan, is that as fast as those are supposed to be moving? The little candle rates, do you think?
Their animation was jacked up. I must have messed something up.
I don't know.
I would make them move a little faster, but they're also in the end supposed to shoot out the little flame dudes, little flame demons. So they will be slightly more dangerous. Right now they're basically slimes with fire eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, that effectively exists.
Yeah.
I did animate what I did have to put it in.
Yeah, I saw them this weekend, and it was like interesting.
That's the other thing I noticed in the jail. There's no light attached to the character. I don't know if that's by design or not. Which is why it was so dark.
Oh, yeah, no, that's a good point. No, because, I totally know what that is. That's a bug.
Yep, that's a feature.
Not like the other 9 million that we've showed off today.
Right. I mean, so do we have anything else? Questions from the angry mob?
We're just talking about enemies mostly right now.
How many people were on the stream today? Do we break 100?
No.
I looked down at one point, there was
74.
70 some odd.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, I need to blend those states.
This?
Yeah.
Gotcha. It's tricky.
So we're at 74 viewers right now.
By the
Yeah.
way. I don't have anything else.
I've shown all the goodies I've worked on.
So I guess we're almost at an hour already. These live streams go by fast. So, any other questions from anyone?
Hey Nathan, come say hi to these folks because I've never
Yeah.
seen you.
That's a good way to
I'll vacate my spot so you can grace them with your magnificent beard.
Say hi to the camera.
Hi.
Hi, camera.
Say hello to my computer overlords.
Tell them what you do.
Oh, hi. I do a lot of stuff actually. I do a little bit of painting, a little bit of animating. I've probably done more animating at this point.
You know what's really interesting is that because of like the backlighting, you can't really make out your facial details a whole lot. But if you had on like this really nice like stovepipe hat, you could almost pass for Abe. Yeah.
Well, my beard is bigger than Abe Lincoln's. I think so.
I didn't know that
So
there
when
was
they do
historical
the-
data that had listed out the measurements of Abe Lincoln's beard.
Yeah.
When they do the movie Lincoln 2, you could apply for the part of like young Abe.
Right.
I don't know.
These guys work so hard for us, yet their shavers won't do the same for them. Even Kobe has a beard, which is almost
And that's because I haven't slept in like 2 weeks. So
unheard of. So.
it takes too much time to shave.
It's a developer beard. You can rank your level.
Well, the real thing is I've been showering at like 3 in the morning because whenever I get tired but I don't want to go to bed yet, I take a shower to wake myself up so I can work for a little bit longer. But everyone, my wife and kids are asleep, so I don't want to use the razor because it makes a lot of noise or whatever.
Yeah.
And I can't use I have to take a trimmer first over it before I use a razor, because if not, like I just break out like a 12-year-old oily skinned kid.
Yeah.
So, two things. My metrosexual fashion sense says that you should keep the beard because it looks good on you.
Yeah.
And also try switching to a straight razor.
Oh. That's hardcore. What if I cut
I use
myself?
one. Just be careful.
Or you could just
Unless
not
you
use
want to cut
anything.
yourself, and then that's a completely different discussion. But there was a suggestion. Can you go into Dropbox and pull up the graphic art? I think that's the only other art. Because if
Oh,
someone
yeah.
wanted to see some new art, if we had any.
Oh, I guess you
I can
have
show
on
it.
your computer.
Yeah. I don't know where it lives. You'll have to give me directions.
Working 3 painting, or well, you'll have to get to Delvers. Working 3 painting. Enemies. It's a PSD.
I should be able to open it. Is it this one?
Hope your computer doesn't crash like it did last time we opened a high-res PSD.
This one's only
Can
14
you just-
megs.
Okay.
It's coming in. I see the layers.
Oh,
It's trying.
yeah. Baby steps.
Come on. Maybe. It's not that big. It's only 3200 by 3900.
I think-
you got a lot of other things, or
No, just all the
So you're
layers are
trying
turned
to
off.
load
Oh.
a Photoshop file. Yeah,
Yep.
you're telling what it's.
Do I need to turn them all on?
Just
Except for
leave
the
that.
last one.
Just leave that on.
Oh, okay.
Turn this one off?
Well,
I
no,
mean-
never mind.
Oh,
That's
I thought
good
it was
enough to
underneath
show the
there.
graphic. So
okay.
yeah,
This
you
is like
Photoshop.
this is like concept stuff, I guess.
Yeah, so that's an enemy that we started on but kind of put on hold so we could finish some tile set things. So he's essentially a wind elemental that'll sort of suck you toward him.
Can you zoom in just a bit?
I
I don't know if that is a
Yes.
capability that you possess.
Something like that.
And to the left would be a metal projectile, if you can kind of see that.
It's probably hard to make out on the screen.
Yeah. So yeah. Oh yeah, there was a bunch of speculation about the elemental symbols and their names on the forums. Anyone have questions about that stuff? Are those associated with the glyphs? Yes. So yes, force, more or less wind. So there you go.
Kind of.
Kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the one thing with the elemental system and, well, some of our other,
I just want everyone to see this painful schematic so they know how much work it is for me.
hey,
to
that
put
is
walls in the
easier
console.
than the previous system, dude.
Yeah, I guess.
Um,
Oh, maybe I should have clicked off. Oh, there we go.
so yeah, I guess with the elements, like, it's, I mean, we are going to have, like, oh, this is a, fire magic, wind magic, that sort of stuff, but we wanted to kind of group them into these broader categories. So force, kind of is an umbrella that encompasses wind, but also things that are like, pushing, erosion, weather. So it's a much broader sort of category, and so we came up with those unique names. So Fury, yeah, more or less fire, like the people on the forum guessed, but it's also things like, you could cast a Fury spell on someone to make them go into a Berserker Rage, or something like that potentially.
Here is a question for the general viewing public, which is, we, I don't know, this is like the third or fourth live stream we've done, not very many, but what is the interest level on actually, for people to actually jump in and watch live streams of any one of us on any given day, just doing some work? So basically, like if it was me, you would see some code, but also you would see the game a lot because, you have to write code, test, and so forth. Or like if it was Baker, you would probably see him painting. Or if it was Bro, you'd probably see him designing levels and testing levels.
I've been intending
Spreadsheets.
on streaming some painting work and have not gotten around to that.
I figure I'm the most boring, but if there's interest, then I would do it because I think it would be kind of cool.
Hmm?
I mean, yeah, so I don't know. But then you could really see the game when it's badly broken.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Maybe somebody learned something.
Like how to break a game.
Yeah.
They would definitely learn that.
Someone one day will say, I learned how to code C++ by watching Kobe on his live stream.
Oh, poor soul.
You learn a lot more from mistakes than you do successes. Let's be real here.
No takers on the live stream stuff.
No,
Oh, yeah.
a lot of people said
Yeah, they said they'd watch. They might even watch you.
Oh,
Maybe.
my God.
Maybe watch the code.
So does everyone prefer Twitch or I'm trying to remember now. There are a few other streaming services that artists use sometimes, or I mean, I think Twitch has just become the default. Is there any other service that anyone would prefer? And also, do you know of any good Mac software for streaming? Because the stuff I was finding was prohibitively expensive. Someday I'm just gonna switch to goddamn PC.
Well, you could take the Steam box and we can make the Mac the file server.
Yeah, but would that slow things down with people reading and writing to my drive all the time?
You have an SSD card now, right?
What?
You have a solid state drive, right?
A 250 gig for this computer, but yeah, I mean, I guess we could throw it in the new computer that's going in. We've been in the process of building a computer
use
for
your
like 2
Mac as
months.
the file server. So you take the
Oh.
PC and then just excommunicate the Mac to serve.
Yeah, suppose we could. Wouldn't you like to know? Yeah, I use VMware Fusion, or did, and it drove me insane because it was constantly making my computer run like molasses. So, yeah, maybe I'll try it again.
Molasses is sweet. Like, it was running sweet, right? It was running sweet. It was sweet. Yeah, molasses is sweet.
Oh,
Yeah. It was that
and
him?
sludgy.
I would say sludgy before sweet, but
Oh.
it is sweet.
All right. Okay.
Which is kind of funny because it might be the only sludgy thing in the world that is actually sweet. Because most sludgy things are definitely not sweet.
EvoCam. I can't remember if I guess I didn't look into this one. I will check it out. Thank you for the suggestion. We're running out of things to talk about. I'm getting tired.
We could play
I'm
rock,
really
paper,
tired.
scissors.
It's nap time. Like, we need to all, go get our little blankets and lay on the floor like kindergartners. Official company nap time.
I approve.
So I think we're done.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thanks for showing up.
Hang out on the forums with us.
Yeah. Tell your friends. Go green light.
Remind me to draw or paint on a live stream.